Justin Trudeau that when this all gets to that boiling point, you better be out of the country.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday during a press conference, the Prime Minister said, and I quote, "Some people will say we moved too quickly. Other people will say, no, we should have acted weeks ago. The reality is this. The Emergencies Act is not something to take lightly. It's not the first thing you turn to, nor the second, nor the third. So my question is, Mr. Speaker, can the Prime Minister please tell Canadians what first, second, and third actions he took before invoking the emergency?
The Honourable Minister for Emergency Preparedness. Right from the outset of the blockades and the disruptions that were taking place in Ottawa, and then the blockades in our critical infrastructure and our ports of entry, our government has worked with municipal and provincial partners right across the country in order to ensure that they had the resources and the support they needed to keep Canadians safe.
I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask the Minister to repeat. I'm right next to you, or to the Honourable Member, and I can't hear it because of the shouting. If I can ask the member, the Honourable Minister...
Stop eating Cheetos.
So that at least I can hear it, and hopefully the Honourable Member for Peterborough-Kawartha can hear the answer.
Mr. Speaker, I'm actually very glad to see that the Conservatives have once again changed their position on something important. Whereas first they supported these blockades, and now that they recognize that this is a largely foreign-funded, targeted, and coordinating attack on Canadian critical infrastructure, they flip-flop. Good for them. We're all getting used to it.
Member for Peterborough-Kawartha.
Mr. Speaker, I think the person or the party that is flip-flopped is the Liberals. Last week, you said you had all the tools you needed. They needed to do this. And now we have an Emergency Measures Act.
Yeah.
We were told we would never need federal vaccine mandates. That changed. Now you're saying it's just jurisdiction. How can we trust this government? How much authority does the Prime Minister need to set an unprecedented Emergency Measures Act? How much authority does he need?
The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, the evidence is clear. A largely foreign-funded, targeted, coordinating attack on critical Canadian infrastructure.
The evidence is clearly clear. You guys buckle your knees whenever a woman gets out there, okay, and tells you the way it is. And if you're wondering why the speaker can't really hear you, it's not just because of the noise, it's because he's got to take the cotton out of his ears.
At our borders is hurting Canada and harming Canadians. And Mr. Speaker, it was equally clear that we needed to do more, and we would have to do what was required. Mr. Speaker, we've introduced measures that will create greater financial scrutiny and financial consequences for the people who are engaged in this criminal behavior. The evidence of firearms at Coots elevates the risk to Canadian security and safety, and we will do what is required to keep Canadians safe.
The Honourable Member for Saskatoon West.
Mr. Speaker, last Friday, the Prime Minister said that the Ottawa Police had enough resources to deal with the protesters.
Right.
And on Monday, he calls for emergency measures. Boy, that escalated quickly. He had 17 days to act, and after hiding in his cottage on his MacBook for the first week, he did nothing but divide and stigmatize. Mr. Speaker, the constituents in Saskatoon West want to know what changed in the Prime Minister's mind over the weekend to justify such drastic measures.
The Honourable Minister for Public Safety.
Speaker, I want to assure my colleague that the RCMP has been supporting and aiding the Ottawa Police Service to enforce public safety, not only here in Ottawa, but in Windsor, where we've reopened the Ambassador.
Let me ask you a question, sir. Did you force them to do this stuff? Are they going to resign like the previous person from Ottawa? Oh yeah, the police chief from Ottawa resigning. Well, that looks like it's the case.
Bridge in Coots, where the borders reopened, in Surrey, where the borders reopened, and that's good. It's good for the economy. It's good for Canadians who can get back to work, Mr. Speaker. And yesterday's invocation of the emergency...
Marco Polo. Marco Polo. Marco Polo. Marco Polo. Dude, man. Ministry of Public Safety. Hey, bud, guess what? I'm educated in health and safety relations. And guess what? If I was a head guy right now, and it's not just because of this pandemic, it's because of that crooked look on your face, bud. The crooked look on your face, the clean shave. You know you're spending about $56 on a clean shave. Dude, we got you number 2. Get out of that parliament. You are bad news.
Emergencies Act is
For
meant to
both
secure those
parties.
things so that we give the police
Because
all
you
the
stink.
tools that they need.
You
Whether it's
stink.
declaring certain zones,
Guess
which
what
are
you
adjacent
stink of,
to
bud?
borders, to our national symbols, Mr.
Guess
Speaker.
what you
It's
stink
important
of?
for the Conservatives to ask
Gambling.
those participating in the illegal blockades to now go
You know, clean your money that way. Send your grandmother to the bingo hall.
Conservatives have been calling on this government to remove the mandatory PCR test requirements for those entering
Oh, wait a
Canada.
minute.
In my
With everything going on, I'm sorry. I apologize. I do not mean to, stoop that low. I mean, you never know what's happened with all this pandemic and stuff. So, dude, yeah. Okay? You're still an idiot.
riding of Niagara Falls, this policy has had a devastating impact on our economy. Visits from the U.S. are nowhere near the record levels reached in 2019, and these expensive costs put on our visitors and Canadians traveling prevent them from visiting their families and loved ones. My residents want to know this: when will all federal travel mandates be ended? The Honourable Minister of Transport.
Speaker, I want to thank my honourable colleague for giving me the opportunity to share with him and all members of this House and all Canadians.
The Ministry of Transport. Oh man, you're so worried about everybody's, well-being, aren't you? Aren't you? But you didn't see this coming. Where's all your science there? All your science should have led you to this point. And you should be deciding to step off right now. Because you know I am correct. You're supposed to be professional. You're supposed to know math. You're supposed to know archaeology. Well, here's a message to you, bro. You're on the wrong side. How's that deep pocket of yours? Nice classy tie. How much did that cost you?
Myself and our colleagues meet today. Today, based on the science and the public health advice we received, we eased our travel measure, including, Mr. Speaker,
Let me ask you where that public health advice came from. Did it come from a mainstream source? Or did it come from boots on the ground? Obviously, it came from your sitting at a desk, not paying attention to the rest of the world, and just wanting what you want.
allowing incoming travelers to use an antigen test instead of the PCR test, pre-departure test. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.